guys, this is Dr. Sadasivam once again with you. There's a lot of talk, discussions going on around Tata's taking over of Air India. I'm sure most of you are aware of the latest development happening as far as this particular merger is concerned, but I would like to give you some extra information in terms of how other airlines in the world, I'm talking about Scandinavian Airlines, how this company, which was on the brink of a lockdown, a brink of closure, was brought back into black by efficient leadership by a CEO called as Don Carlson. We're going to compare both these case studies in this small video, right? So before getting into the subject, I would like to talk a little bit about Tata and its past history. We all know that this company started way back in the year 1932 and it was nationalized in the year 1953. And after so many decades, it's now going back to Tata's back in the year 2022, in the beginning of 2022. And just a little bit about that detail, about that deal, there was a share purchase agreement for somewhere around 18,000 crores, out of which 2,700 would be given in cash by Tata'S, and the remaining approximately 15 or 60,000 crores of debt of Air India would be absorbed by Tata. Now, their immediate competitor, I think there are many, but one of the significant competitors for Air India in future will be Indigo, which has a fleet size of approximately 260 plus planes. Now, we are all aware that Tata has its own other stakes in other airlines like Tata Vistara, Air Asia, etc., etc. So, with the, I think they have around 80 planes in that, and with the addition of Air India planes into their fleet, it would, I think the total fleet of Air India will be somewhere around 145 to 150, whereas Indigo will be a little more. Anyway, it will be less than Indigo. So a formal handover has been done by the Deepam secretary, who is Tuhin Kumar Pandey, and then the chairman of Tata Sons, who is Chandrasekhar. So those formal agreements and other things are over. I think 2-3 days. I think last week it was over. After which the chairman of the Tata met the prime minister also, and of course the finance minister. Like about Mr. Chandrasekhar, I'm so proud that he also studied in the same college where I studied, Coimbatore Institute of Technology. He was many years my senior, though I've not interacted with him in college because he was too senior to me. And it's a matter of pride, you know, these days in our alumni association and CIT, there are so many discussions happening around Mr. Chandrasekhar, and it's a proud moment for our institution. And the other person who signed this deal was Tuhin Kumar Pandey, who is an IAS officer from Deepam. Guys, those of you who are preparing for competitive examinations, the section officer subordinated services, including the UPSC, understand Deepam stands for Department of Investment and Public Asset Management. Okay, so of course a lot of things are happening, and anyone you speak to, because everybody is talking about customer experience. Now, what is customer experience? The customer experience, I think it's very often repeated. Do you think customer service was not there in the earlier Air India? I've traveled a number of times in the Air India flights. Excellent customer service, but there was something that was lacking, guys. Okay, so what we're doing is we're going to compare this with the case study of the revival of Scandinavian Airlines. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. And who revived that company? The man at the helm was a guy called as the same Don Carlson, right? His name is spelled as John Carlson, Jan, but you need to pronounce that as Don, because when I was doing trainings for Audi company, there was a co-trainer with me, Doris Stull, who is from this place, who was also a trainer. She was from Austria, and she corrected. She explained to me that it should be pronounced as Don Carlson or something like that. Europeans have their own ways and means of pronunciation. Anyway, Carlson was his name. So a little bit about Carlson. He was a Swedish guy, and he studied in the masters. He studied MBA in Stockholm School of Economics. He got his MBA in the year 1967. 1967 is a very special year for me because that was the year I was born. Okay, right. So he took over the reins of this company, Scandinavian Airlines, in the year 1980 as a CEO. At the time when he took over the reins of that company, the company was making huge losses to the tune of $17 million per year. Now you might think $17 million is not a very significant amount. But guys, we are not talking of 2022. We are talking of 1980, $17 million. Huge losses. And Scandinavian Airlines was ranking the last out of 17 airlines in the whole world, right? That was the condition of that airline, and it was in a brink of closure, a very centralized organization, right? But when Don Carlson took over the reins of that company, he did certain steps, he took certain steps in the company and brought the company into profits of $54 million. Guys, loss-making company of $17 million to a profit-making company of $54 million in how much time? Can you imagine? Any guesses? In just 2 years. In the year 1982, the company was back in black and they were making profits of $54 million. They revolutionized the complete industry. Rave reviews have been written about that company, and it also became the airline of the year. And American Management Association, in its 25th, I think 75th anniversary, they said this particular revival of the airline was one of the most important development of management in the 20th century. This was the way American Management Association, talked about this complete revival. Now, what did Don Carlson do to revive? A lot of things we did. Obviously, it's a complete case study. We do a whole day training program on customer experience and customer centricity. We have the best trainers who do this program. In fact, I supervise the whole material. I get the trainers trained and depute the best trainers for these kind of assignments. Of course, that's a different topic. This is a very short video because there are a lot of requests from people to make these videos short, and so normally what we do is we shoot 5-10 minutes videos like this, encapsulating the complete content in just 5-10 minutes, just to give you an overview of what we do. And then it will be followed by a 1 hour long video. Those of you who are interested in getting to know more details about what was done, the nuances, the finesse of that case study, you're welcome to go through that 1 hour video. I will be putting that link in this, or please subscribe to this channel, so whenever we upload those kinds of videos, you will automatically get the notification and you will get to see those free of cost, right? And of course, if you want to have a whole day training program, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days workshop conducted in your company, you can get in touch and we will depute the best of the best trainers to do those training programs, right? So coming back to the subject, what did they do? They said empowerment, empowerment, empowerment. That was it. No planes, extra planes, nothing. Everything was the same. The same processes, the same operating procedures, the same aircraft, the same staff, everything was the same. The policy was the same. Then what was changed? What was the differentiator? How did this loss-making company of $17 million a year become a profit-making company of 54,000? What was the reason? That's what we're going to talk about. He talks about empowerment. Don Carlson, in one of his training sessions, because he used to take part in training sessions himself. As the training program goes, this guy will go inside and he will sit with those participants. He will interact with the trainers. That was the level of connect he had with the entire ecosystem, the entire system, value chain within the company, the entire hierarchy, right from the director level till the last mile employee. One of his famous sayings was that problems need to be settled on the spot as they arise. And The guys don't have to wait for instructions to come from the head office thousands of miles away. That was one of his famous dictums. And he says, no employee in the company has to wait for an approval from a senior officer, especially when it involves customer service, right? Of course, certain processes, boundaries, frameworks were done. All that was different. So typically we are talking about total decentralization. This training program we were talking about, they started a training program called as Putting People First. And a company, TMI International, something were, engaged in this, and they started their own Scandinavian service school. And some of the best learnings from these training schools were made as a training content, and it was done for other companies like your Japanese Airlines, your British Airways. They started emulating all these training programs. Some of the best, one of the best revival and one of the best training. So typically what he did was customer excellence, and in the customer excellence a very important concept was used, and that was moment of truth.